read mine.
All righty, it's 5:01 p.m. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll begin with a quick roll call. Mr. Barton.
Here.
Mr. Freshair.
Here.
Dr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Chapman.
Here.
Dr. Manning.
Here.
Everybody's good. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have no delegations at this time, so we will begin with reports, discussion, and follow-up information. And we have facilities and future plans for the district. Dr. Manning.
Okay, Mr. Fraser's at the facility conference this week. They're having their week-long facility conference. So he's there and getting his training for the year about updating buildings and things like that. Just to give you a quick rundown of what we have going on, and then we can have discussion about what we want to do in the future. Majority of offices and hallways and bathrooms have been stripped here, and you can see it's been freshly waxed at the board office. We're almost finished up with the board office itself. The GCHS floors, of course, they're currently working on those floors and they're waxing. Same with Gilmer County Elementary. They're waxing floor, stripping, and waxing. The Gilmer County High School chemistry classroom has got new tile in it. We're starting that the science renovation. We went in and tore the tile out of those, put new cove base down, and working on tidying up that room. We've got the tile laid and the cove base put in, and now we're putting in the tables and things like that. The Gilmer County High School wall pads, the requisition's been submitted. We're building the PO. Once Mr. Fox has the PO, which should be next week, he's going to work with RM Huffman on the design and the schedule when that installation is going to happen. So that should be, I've heard that RM Huffman's a pretty quick company. That should happen pretty rapidly. The weight room, we're half a year in. Our custodians here have done a great job. It looks very clean and tidy. We're still got to add the turf to the hallway. So we're getting transition to go in between the classrooms and the turf in the hallway, and we're waxing everything first. Another piece of the facility update, and this is where we put a lot of our funding, was to update the trucks. The maintenance truck, which we have Arch's name beside of it, we have had for a while, and it's in fully functional, meeting our needs. The second maintenance truck, which is Steve's truck, we picked it up July 9th. It just left today to have the ladder rack added to it. It's a little bigger truck. Arch told me today he can stand up in the back of it. So it's pretty tall to where they can get in and haul things. And the mechanic truck says should arrive at Midstate in the next couple weeks. Of course, those trucks have to be outfitted with racks and Tommy gates and all of that. We are looking for a van that would meet the 10-passenger need for students, and that's just an update for Mr. Fraser. We are looking at another van. And what we're going to try to do in those trucks, upkeep those trucks to the point where we're not getting, $1,000 for them when we sell them. We want to be able to try to put them on a rotation. We're getting very close to putting out the Gilmer County High School paving bid. We're trying to do this bid where we can utilize the funding and do it in sections and do as many sections as possible. And we've marked that off. We've been out there and got the depth and working on all of the different things. That paving is one of those high priorities that kind of wasn't on our radar, but we've had a few fall hazards and things like that spring up that we really do need to get paving done. We did recently put out for bid the water boiler system and the piping into the middle school science. We did not get that submission. We plan to resubmit that. the major projects moving forward that we talked about in the CEFP that we continue to try to work with the SBA to get would be the boiler system, the vocational roof, and the GCHS science wing roof. Of course, those are multi-million-dollar projects, and they're not giving out too much funding at this point in time to county public boards. So those are still our top priorities as far as what we've got going on. We've got other things that we're deep stripping the high school floors down to where they're coming out white. I mean, so we've got lots of projects like that going on as well, and just regular maintenance projects too. But the next 2 or 3 big projects that we really need to get that vocational roof, that science wing roof, and of course the boiler system is the first on the list that we keep submitting. We had placed a couple of those projects together. We didn't get that funding. We thought we'd just go straight boiler system and see if we could get that. That's the highest need. But that's where we're at. There's been some discussion about should we formulate a committee to work on some of these things, and you know, both Mr. Frazier and I, we're up to doing whatever, meeting regularly, or providing regular updates and things like that. But those are where the focus areas have been for the last couple of years, and CFP committee kind of rated those, and we really need to get those things fixed. And that's why they've been on our priority list that we keep submitting.
I would personally like to have a workshop,
Like a board work session?
a board work session, and, you know, have Joey provide like what needs.
Yeah, I'm kind of just interested in like detailed needs. Everybody says we need a boiler. I understand that. Is it because it's just older, or are we doing ongoing maintenance? Like, are we having to replace a fuse every week, or like what is it that besides age?
It's corroded. Like the actual tank itself is
On
corroded.
the inside, so
And then a lot of the
much
lines, a
water.
lot of the copper lines, we're repairing leaks, and in that copper line, you know, we're having to patchwork the leaks.
If
And then,
if memory serves me correctly, I put that in 1996.
And then like the roofs, are we talking metal roofs? Are we talking tar roofs? Are we talking, you know, what type of roofs are we talking about? I'm
Both.
just curious about all of it, you know what I mean?
So there would be metal roofing over the vocational,
That's what I was thinking was over that. And then I was trying to,
and that's reached its
the
life
science lab, I
expectancy.
don't remember. Is it one of those drop roofs where they have like?
It's actually got, it's a rubber coated, you know, rubberized roof with the rock on top of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mhm.
And, you know, that, but I would also like a list of the things that we know that are going to need repaired,
That's what
and,
I was saying, like a
and,
maintenance list, like what, or like a
and
life
by,
expectancy.
you know, like number one is what needs done the first, and then just have a list. And then I would also like to talk about a 10-year plan, because I think probably our previous 10-year plan of building a new high school is probably not in the realm of possibility at this point. And so I would like to drop back and
What's our
So-
biggest need? Yeah,
punt
Yeah.
and,
see what is, or what's costing us the most money that
and
we could replace and save money, you know?
well,
things like
and
that.
what our plan is for the
Modernization.
projected 500 students in
Yeah.
10
Or
years.
like like maybe just a modernization, you know, like what do we still need to modernize? We have to do lighting, we're gonna get the water system, like what needs
Well,
modernized?
and like, you know, we need to know if that high school is still going to be usable for kids in 10 years, and will it still be feasible in 10 years to pay the upkeep and the electricity, or are we going to try to consolidate pre-K through 12 into one facility? You know, what are we
Yeah, I
going
don't
to
think
do?
that's an option. Right?
The only thing is, you can't get any funding to build new or additions. That's going to be really
Well, that's why I think we need to talk about
tough.
it
So you're
now,
talking about a
because-
CEFP committee meeting then?
No, I think she's, not really. My opinion for maintenance is it's twofold. One is those jobs, like the boiler is not CEFP. The boiler's got to be dealt with. It'd be nice if state would give us money, but we all know that ain't gonna happen. So if you have a committee that's looking at our facility saying, it's not what's economical, it's what do we have to do to keep our building running? And if the projection of being to 500 kids in 10 years is anywhere near correct, you're looking at one building. You couldn't afford to renovate the elementary school to turn it into
With the projection of the 500 kids, where did that come from?
That's from the economist at WVU that did projections for every county.
that the state board hired to,
I might have it
Some of
here.
that should be, I mean, though, we can look at exiting classes and entry classes.
Well, we could
like
do
your
two
K.
different
Yeah,
things, like
K
one
through
could be maintenance.
Yeah.
But before we even go to the CEFP, I think the board as a whole needs to discuss a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
You know, if we're,
I think we can keep a pretty good eye on our numbers though, and have a little bit of time if we see them, like if we start getting class sizes of, 7, 10 kids in grade school, then we'll know that, man, we're gonna have to do something in the next 4 to 5,
I mean, that's the
By the
trend
time they get to
everywhere.
high
pretty
school.
I
much.
mean, you got a pie in the sky and you got reality, and I'm a realist.
Yeah, me too.
So, if you look at real and you luck out and that doesn't occur, you're ahead of the game. But those are our entities. But I think we need to look at our facilities. It's just like waxing at the high school. It should never, somewhere along the line, it got in the boat to where they haven't been stripped in 15 years. They used to be stripped and waxed every year, and that was every floor. So
Pretty sure we've done it since I've been here.
that's something that I don't know how it occurred, doesn't matter, but it got to that point. Just like here, the floors they weren't taken care of. That's something that's.
I would also say, if we're talking about roofs, that I know on numerous occasions, just in the past year, the new elementary school gym roof has leaked and came down on the gym floor and should probably, whatever's causing that needs to be addressed as well. Just throwing that out there.
But those are things that a committee from,
Yeah, I mean, I think before we ever go to the, whatever it is, CEFP or whatever, that the board needs to
that thing was
talk
done.
about options for the future. And I mean, we could have 2 or 3 different options based on enrollment, if
And
enrollment goes
trends,
up,
just
if
the
it
way,
goes
we
down.
ought to be able to see which way it's trending
But as
really
of now,
easily.
it's obviously trending down.
Right, yeah, we know that.
So it's sounding like to me, if we want the whole board involved, then we need a work session and not a committee.
That
And then
sounds
you
like
just-
right.
And then have the superintendent bring us back, options or whatever, have the facilities director come and give us a whole, presentation, work down on what we want, and
Probably be nice
what
to
he
have
can
Joe
do.
there
Yeah,
too,
sure.
though. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
like for him to be there.
And just do it before a board meeting, have it like start a meeting at 4:30 or something, or whatever, 4 or
That's
whatever.
fine. And it's something that they're gonna have to, after we talk.
Oh, yeah,
they're
sure,
gonna have to go
sure.
back and-
Let me
Get
ask
some
this too.
information.
You said new tile in the science wing. I'm asking a question here, in the science lab, in the chemistry lab.
Yeah,
All right, I know this from the hard way. I assume they are going to strip it down and wax it,
well, it's brand new. They haven't waxed it yet.
but they are.
Yeah,
Because typically when the architect that came in before, he said it has, they're waxed, they have protecting coating on it. You don't have to mess with them.
no,
And
you need.
I know this the hard way, my custodians didn't. And when they got ready to do something to it, it simply doesn't hold, it came up. And so the wax guy, after he got chewed on, came and said, strip it and then seal it and it'll work. Because what they told him was it was sealer, you can just wax over it. Wrong. Like I said, I know that in the hard way.
Yeah, their plan is to wax the floor.
Yeah, I just make sure, like I said, it is stripped before and put sealer down on it, because
So does that sound feasible to you, Dr. Manny,
Yeah,
to put
we'll
that
just
together
schedule,
and have
yeah.
that do that?
Mhm.
Okay. Will that solve everybody's?
Yeah, I mean,
Concerns.
I just think we need to have the conversations.
Yeah, I just think it keeps us informed so we can
Looks like-
inform the public when we're asked.
No money's coming in, so.
Well, let me ask this too,
Kids are
because I don't know if this comes under that, but part of this was where I raised my ugly head and it talks about future plans. I don't know, is this where the sixth grade is going to be discussed or is that on down here?
Oh, I didn't have the sixth grade
Well, I
being
know, but
discussed on.
I'm just saying, that's why when it said future plans, I assumed it dealt with them, yay or nay, and that's why I'm asking. It does or doesn't?
The sixth grade wasn't entering it. What I was asked to put together for this is a facilities update of what we've got going on and just have discussion after that about
Okay.
what we want to talk about in the future.
Okay, I just want clarification. Not a problem.
Okay. So I think if we can get a work session put together before you're gonna do the next meeting, does that give you enough time, or do we wanna wait until August? Because the next meeting will be the 27th of July.
That's up to you all.
What do you
Depends on
want?
how big of a priority you want to make it.
I think it needs to be looked
I
at.
think just to get the ball rolling,
Gonna
get the
Yes.
conversation.
Do the next meeting?
Yes.
Next
Yeah.
meeting. Okay, all right, that'll take care of that then.
So we're doing like
4:30.
4:30
Do you
before the next
want
meeting?
4:30 or 4?
Oh, we'd have to probably do it at 4
So, okay.
because at 30 minutes is not enough time to sit
All
and
right.
discuss.
All right, so yeah, 4 o'clock work session, July 27th. Okay. All right, I think that'll take us out of reports. Any other discussion that needs tackled before I move on? Okay. Consent agenda, we'll start with approval of the minutes of the statutory meeting of July 6, 2026.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the statutory meeting of July 6, 2026.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the statutory meeting of July 6, 2026. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, we have bills for payment. Dr. Minnie.
You got the attached bill list there. I didn't know if you guys had any question. Mrs. Altizer's on vacation. Didn't know if you had any questions about certain things or if not.
Make a motion to approve the, there's, I guess, all the bills for payment.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve all the bills listed for payment. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, on to new business. And we have discussion and possible action of a resolution in support of West Virginia public education. Dr. Manning.
All right. Let me get set this right.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I'm on the wrong meeting. That's why I keep on thinking, what in the world is going on here? Give me 1 second.
You're good.
My computer froze and then I clicked on the wrong preview.
County and public.
Okay. The resolution before you is to support the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign. And this campaign is designed to serve kind of as a way to get the message out about what good things our public schools are doing. And we have a lot of good things happening in public schools that don't necessarily get shared all the time. So a group of administrators with the West Virginia Association of School Administrators have developed this campaign to kind of get our school systems put together and our boards put together where we can highlight to our local communities the good things that we're doing and the good programs that we have, whether it be our curriculum programs, our career and technical programs, and so forth. And what this resolution pretty much states is that you all will support that that I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign and provide us the permission to promote that campaign, share those things out on our local, Facebook page. And when there's information coming in about our public schools, we can share that out with our stakeholders to raise the awareness of our public schools and how well they are doing. It also makes a commitment to having strong local controlled county public schools and keeping that local control and decision-making process that's critical in sustaining rural communities throughout West Virginia, particularly in the economic disadvantaged areas where there isn't a lot of other choice. So, I think that this is one of the first steps as people recognize, hey, we need to support public schools. We need to help public schools. We need to work with our local legislators to provide the best public schools that we can, especially in our rural areas where they're kind of the epicenter of our communities. So, I encourage you guys to have a discussion and pass this resolution. I recommend that you make a motion and pass it. And I think that it will raise awareness in our local community. We're sitting here talking about school building projects and funding and things like that, but people need to become aware of just exactly the extent of what's going on in our county public schools. And this allows us to all find that content and understand it.
Dr. Martin, if you don't mind, I think we ought to read that for the public to hear.
Shall I make a motion reading it? Or?
You can if you want to at the end.
So a resolution in support of the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign. Whereas the Gilmer County Board of Education recognizes that our county public schools serve as the cornerstone of our communities and are essential to the educational, social, cultural, and economic well-being of the citizens of West Virginia. And whereas West Virginia's county public schools educate the overwhelming majority of the state's students and remain accountable to locally elected boards of education, the West Virginia Department of Education, the West Virginia Board of Education, state and federal laws, public audits, and the citizens they serve. And whereas county public school systems provide educational opportunities for all children, regardless of background, income, or circumstance, and remain one of the most important public institutions in preserving opportunity, promoting civic engagement, and preparing future generations of leaders, workers, and citizens. And whereas the Gilmer County Board of Education acknowledges that strong, locally controlled county public schools are critical to sustaining rural communities throughout West Virginia, particularly in economically disadvantaged areas where schools often serve as the center of community life, a primary source of local employment, and an essential factor in attracting and retaining families and businesses. And whereas the board further recognizes that high-quality public education contributes directly to workforce development, economic growth, community stability, and improved quality of life, and that investments in public education strengthen the long-term prosperity and competitiveness of West Virginia. And whereas the Gilmer County Board of Education believes that healthy communities depend upon strong county public schools, and that the continued success of our students and schools is vital to the future sustainability of Gilmer County and all rural counties throughout the state of West Virginia. And whereas the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign is a statewide initiative designed to celebrate, promote, and highlight the accomplishments, achievements, and positive impact of West Virginia's county public schools, students, educators, service personnel, administrators, and school communities. And whereas the Gilmer County Board of Education is a proud supporter of public education and believes that positive stories about student achievement, career and technical education, workforce preparation, academic excellence, extracurricular success, and community partnerships should be shared and celebrated across the state of West Virginia. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gilmer County Board of Education hereby expresses its full support for and endorsement of the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign and affirms its commitment to promoting and celebrating the significant contributions of public education throughout West Virginia. Be it further resolved that Gilmer County Schools shall actively participate in the campaign by utilizing the district website, Facebook page, and other official communication platforms to share campaign information, correspondence, success stories, student accomplishments, and examples of the positive impact public schools have on the citizens of Gilmer County. Be it further resolved that the Gilmer County Board of Education respectfully urges the West Virginia School Boards Association to share information regarding the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign with each of West Virginia's 55 county boards of education and encourage statewide participation in promoting the value and importance of public education. Be it further resolved that the Gilmer County Board of Education encourages all members of the West Virginia Legislature, and specifically the local legislative delegation representing Gilmer County, to support the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign by sharing campaign information with their constituents and recognizing the important role county public schools play in educational achievement, community development, economic vitality, and workforce preparation. Be it further resolved that the Gilmer County Board of Education encourages local Republican and Democratic organizations, civic groups, businesses, community leaders, and citizens to support public education and participate in the promotion of the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign. Be it further resolved that the Gilmer County Board of Education encourages the West Virginia Retired School Employees Association, retired educators, and retired school employees across the state to support and promote the campaign and continue advocating for the success and advancement of public education. Be it further resolved that the Gilmer County Board of Education recognizes that public schools serve as economic anchors in many West Virginia communities, and that maintaining strong public schools is essential to sustaining local economies, strengthening communities, supporting workforce development, preserving population growth, and ensuring future opportunities for students and families throughout rural West Virginia. Be it further resolved that copies of this resolution shall be transmitted to the State Superintendent of Schools, the West Virginia Board of Education, the West Virginia School Boards Association Director and President, West Virginia Association of School Administrators, Education West Virginia, West Virginia Principal Association, members of the West Virginia Senate and House of Delegates, the Governor of West Virginia, State Treasurer Larry Pack, House and Senate Education Committee chairs, the West Virginia Retired School Employees Association, and other appropriate stakeholders and organizations in support of public education. Be it finally resolved that the Gilmer County Board of Education proudly joins educators, students, parents, community members, and supporters throughout the state of West Virginia in affirming that strong county-led public schools are fundamental to strong communities, a strong workforce, and a strong West Virginia, and hereby pledges its continued support for the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign.
Second.
And I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
All righty, the question was on adoption of the resolution. We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as read aloud. Is there any further discussion or amendments on the adoption of the resolution?
It's pretty good stuff.
All right, hearing none, all in favor of adoption of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The resolution has been adopted. All right.
And I think just as a personal note is that the people of Gilmer County and of all these rural counties when we're looking at these public charter schools, we're not going to get a public charter school that wants to come in and open in Gilmer County. So what that means is that we're just going to get less and less funding. And then what's going to happen to our schools? Are they going to be farmed out to other counties? Are our kids going to be bused for 2 hours to go to Lewis County or Braxton County? If we don't keep our local public schools, especially in Gilmer County, nobody's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves.
All righty, that'll move us into old business, and we have the audit committee appointment. Dr. Manning.
This is one that Ginger had brought to my attention, that we had one additional member on the audit committee. I think Dustin and Cody served on the audit committee last year, and she said that membership needs to have a total of 3 people. So I don't know if you want to appoint someone else to that committee.
Okay. So do we need a majority of the board on the committee? Because that normally is not the way those are structured.
No, there needs to be 3 people, 2 members
2 members.
And Ginger.
and Ginger.
Okay.
So there's 3
Yeah,
people.
I don't mind to come off if somebody else wants to go on, Mr.
So
Chapman.
he
do you?
can't do it. I don't mind to do it. I'll do it.
Because Brett had the least committee assignments, everybody. Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Chapman to the audit committee for the 26-27 school year.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to appoint Brett Chapman to the audit committee for the 2026-2027 school year. Is there any further discussion or amendments on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Brett abstains, motion carries. All right. So now we will move into personnel.
This looks
Okay.
weird too.
Let me get my computer. All right. Dr. Manning, we got professional.
Professional personnel,
Sorry. I was going to say, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. We go to executive session to discuss personnel, which may affect any of the employees on the personnel sheet. If we're discussed in public, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That's close enough.
Ooh. Motion to arise.
Second.
All right, been properly moved and seconded to arise from executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, no action was taken, executive session. We'll go back to professional portion of the agenda. Dr. Manning.
Recommendation for hire, Michelle Workman, truancy diversion interventionist, attendance director job, all locations.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the professional portion of the personnel agenda as presented by the superintendent. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, on to service.
Recommendation for hire, Charlene Montgomery, Secretary 3, GCHS job.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the service portion as presented on the personnel list. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, on to extracurricular.
Recommendation for hire, Anthony Canfield, Custodian 3, extra duty, multi-locational job.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, been properly moved and seconded to approve the extracurricular portion of the personnel agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. On to resignations.
Resignation, Brandon Payne, Assistant Principal, Gilmer County High School, effective July 13th, 2026. Emily Hoyt, Classroom Transportation Aides, Grade 3, July 6th, effective date, 2026. Andrea Russell, Assistant Mini Titan Volleyball Coach, effective date, July 7th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to accept the resignations portion of the personnel agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion?
I'd just like to give respect to Mr. Payne. He's wore many hats for us in the last 4 years up at Gilmer County High School, and I just want to thank him. I don't know if he's staying and switching jobs or going someplace else, but I just want to thank him for his time that he's been our assistant principal in other positions up there.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, and that will conclude personnel. And we have nothing in continuous improvements. That'll lead us to the superintendent's update.
All right, I just want to say I applaud the board for their efforts in supporting the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign. I think it's a good step to highlight what we're doing positive in the schools and letting our communities know that we are working hard to do things positive for our students. We have a whole bunch of policy to try to get organized before the beginning of school. It's going to be a couple days of policy committee. We're kind of behind because our system that we pull the policies from was kind of down. So we may need a special meeting just to get things posted out on an agenda so they're on review and for comment and things like that. Some of those things include organization elementary basketball. We're looking at that policy. We're looking at different policies with virtual programming and just a lot of different things that we need to update and little kind of Neola updates to make it our own. One thing I wanted to give you a heads up on, and you might hear some rumblings and some grumblings. We are rolling out the Apogee Rooms app, and this is a way that our teachers and coaches can communicate on a safe platform with our students. Just like we make all calls, all of our employees will be able to log on. The goal is our teams will be entered into this platform. You'll be able to send a text message to all your parents, a group message to all your parents at once. You'll be able to individually talk to student athletes, and it's all on a secure platform that is forever immortalized. So we can go back if there was questions about a conversation and things like that. You can also send your full class updates. Hey, this week, this is what we talked about. There's a test. There's a study guide coming out. Parents be aware. So we're trying to ramp up that communication. It's going to be some learning curve and some training, and we're going to keep training throughout this next upcoming year until we get the usage. But instead of a teacher having to set and send out listservs or emails and things like that, they will be able to click on their classroom and send out an update to the parents, and the parent receives that via text message on their cell phone.
What's that called?
It's called Apogee Rooms. It also gives a safe spot for our coaches and teachers to communicate with individual students. It's forever immortalized in, I don't know, the data center worlds or wherever it goes. And it takes those conversations and they're easily tracked. So you can feel like there's a safe network there for people to talk back and forth and correspond back and forth between player and coach, parent, coach, things like that. So I just wanted to give you an update. You might start hearing about that. We've got to get people trained, and Apogee to me, I make the all calls out on my phone. It's real simple, but it might not be that simple for everyone. And then just usage. We're hoping the teachers use it. So the overall goal would be to, if you've got that study guide you want the parents to know about, tell them, or if the test is coming up, let the parents know so they can say to their student, no matter what age, hey, you need to study for this. So you should start seeing some of that. And we're going to roll out training to the coaches and to the teachers, administrators, all the way down to kindergarten. So just to give you a heads up about that. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is tuition for Hope attendance and extracurricular. I've got a list of options already created and working through our policy committee, but I've got a list of options for you guys to consider and to put together. And a lot of districts are starting to come out with options, and they're kind of a little bit of a shock. I think it was $700 and some per class that our neighbor county put out there, and $730 some to participate in football. Ours are not quite that high. They're close, but I've got 4 or 5 different options. One is the school aid formula that we lose when somebody leaves our system and goes Hope, divided by 9 classes that we offer. What it would cost for our students to attend our school per class. Football was a tough one. What I did was I averaged up the cost of a helmet, shoulder pads, a girdle, and a uniform, and just divided it by 4, because I figure they would use 4 years. They're going to need a helmet and girdle. I came up with a number of about $500. That just is base cost. But you guys will be the ultimate deciding factor on what you want to charge. And so I've created some options. One of them is based off of what it cost us. If we had a student in public ed, we get the full $6,500 of state aid formula. That's what we lose. This is what it is divided by 9. The second option would be the 55 or whatever they get for the Hope, 52 or 55, divide that by 9, because we have 9 total course offerings in a year. So it would be, I think it's $611 per class.
Well, the sad reality to all of this is that nothing is free, is that our kids get an education because the taxpayers fund it. And when these kids receive the Hope Scholarship, that is the money that would be going to fund their public school education. So if they're not using that money to participate in their public school, whatever classes or sports or whatever, then somehow we have to recoup that because it's not free to us.
So
I think that's a good point to be made.
Yeah.
that is, we're all trying to figure out our fee schedule. There's been a few counties that came out with the fee schedule. I'm also going to give, at our policy committee, some recommendations for a policy to be written. So we have that written in kind of our policy manual, what we charge and so on and so forth.
Can you also kind of like just briefly just say why we're doing that now? And because we've been able to do this for years, but we haven't. But now with the SBA funds got it.
I would love to tell you the exact code. I have it written down in my office, but the state legislator changed the code and it was requiring us to charge fees. So
That just happened.
that's happened in January of 20.
So prior to this, we've just been absorbing that cost.
We've been
and
absorbing
having
the cost.
Less
It always
to
said
give
that
our,
we could bill back,
yeah.
but it didn't say that we shall
We
bill
had
back,
to.
but now we shall.
Yeah, and I'll bring that code to our policy committee meeting, and I'll bring the code to the board meeting where you guys vote. But I'd love to tell it off the top of my head, but my memory's not that good. But there is code now that says county boards shall charge tuition fees for Hope Scholarship recipients that participate in public schools and extracurriculars. This is also the first year that homeschool students have been eligible for Hope.
Mhm.
So that change came with this first year. So there's a lot of homeschool kids eligible. If they do not receive the Hope and they're just homeschool kids, then they should just be able to come to our school for a class and participate like they always have. Because
I
they're not
wondered if-
receiving any of the state aid.
I wondered if the big uptick in the Hope was just simply the homeschool kids that are now.
That's definitely a big uptick in the Hope.
That's what I
Hundreds
wondered,
of
how
millions
much of it was
dollars.
actually lost versus people that were already homeschooling and are just now eligible.
I can get you the exact numbers on, like, we haven't had a mass exodus to homeschool. It's just people that are currently.
That's kind of what I figured when I saw the numbers.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's all I wanted to give you an update on.
All righty, we'll move to board member comments and start with Mr. Chapman.
I just hope that all of our staff takes advantage of the Aptigee software that we're going to be getting and doing, because we've had a lot of talks about teacher, parent. Hillary, I'm sure
Yeah.
could go on more, talk more about that, but I just hope that we utilize that. It sounds like a really good program. I'm sure it came from a really good place. And then for our next meeting, if we're going to meet at 4 and trying to look into the future and see maybe some of the struggles that we might be facing, it'd be good to have a little bit of information. And I'm sure it's all public record and I could probably pull it, but I probably won't. But I would like to know our head count per class, starting at pre-K to 12th grade, going in to this fall semester. How many kids are in each class? Do we have a 55, kid graduating class and only 23 in preschool or kindergarten? So that can kind of, we can kind of look at that. And then I would suggest that, any of the other board members, if they have like a bit of information that they would like to have accompanying them to.
Cody said he probably has that handout that we have, and I can always email that guy, and I'm sure he would even talk to us if we wanted
Just
that.
get as much information so we're not just asking questions, but maybe we can go ahead and answer and kind of get a
Yeah.
better picture. So if we can think of anything of the information that we might want, we can bounce it back and forth. We'll make Cody the point man and we'll just go from there. But
I can get that. I've already got that put together. So.
yeah, so and I think that's it.
All right. I just again wanted to kind of echo Mr. Chapman. If we use that, Aptigee, again, parent teacher communication, has been something that's always been discussed that we can improve upon. And now we have, a method to do that. Again, kind of thank Mr. Payne again for his service here over the past couple of years and transition to his new position. And again, just stay on top of things. Like I said, the more that we, get involved and, know what's going on and what changes and things are coming up, you'll have a legislative session coming, and all that, just to pay attention to and, stay informed and be informed, and you're better off knowing how to help situations as they arise. Dr. Miller.
I'd like to thank Brandon Payne. He did a lot of different things for us in our times of need, and thank him for his help. The Aptigee, I would strongly encourage all the teachers to utilize it. It is very important as parents to have one mode of messaging to teachers. And I would also encourage them to use it regularly, either on Fridays or Mondays, detailing what either the next week or that week consists of as far as testing and stuff goes, because the student is always going to do better when the parent is involved. It takes some kids longer to mature, and some kids aren't able to manage their academics as well as others, and that's where a parent comes in. And I know myself, if I know what's going on, I can make a difference. If I don't, then it's just in the wind. I also just wanted to tell the public a little bit of what I learned about the different school types in West Virginia. And there is a website, myschoolchoice.com, that details the different school choices. We here are the traditional public schools. There are also public charter schools. Now, these public charter schools, I think there's around 8 in West Virginia, and they are eligible for our taxpayer dollars. These charter schools, public charter schools, operate in counties that already have traditional public schools, and they are subject to most public school rules, such as the Freedom of Information Act, the Open Meetings Act, the Ethics Act. They can't discriminate against students, but they do have, since they are their own employer, they do have flexibility with employment that we don't have in the traditional public school. My thoughts on this are, if we wanted to make changes to education, our legislature basically have carte blanche to change education however they want. But instead of putting extra time and effort into the traditional public schools that we already have well established, they chose to let these public charter schools open and divert funds from the traditional public schools to these public charter schools. And like I said, there's only, I think, 8 in West Virginia, maybe a couple of the public charter online schools. But to me, it makes no sense, because if the intent was to improve the education of the public, then why didn't we take the system that we already had and devote more money and effort into the traditional public schools? Because like I said, the legislatures can control what happens in the schools. They're the one that wrote the 3-inch tall rules and regulations. So really, I think this falls back on our legislators. Instead of diverting funds from what we've already invested in, why don't we make what we have better? So the public charter schools are different than private schools. The private schools charge tuition, whereas the public charter schools and the traditional public schools do not. The private schools can be faith-based. There's about 120 in the state of West Virginia. And then, of course, homeschooling is an option. About 4.4% of West Virginia students are homeschooled. And online learning, it has 2 avenues. One is the traditional public school avenue. Each district offers this for grades 6 through 12. And then the other is the virtual public charter schools. And I think there's 2 in the state of West Virginia. The last thing is the micro school, and I believe the school in Gilmer County is classified, the Christian school is classified as a micro school, and they are exempt from the compulsory attendance that we have in public schools and public charter schools. They do have to complete an annual assessment. They do charge tuition. Homeschools, private schools, and micro schools can take advantage of the Hope Scholarship funding. And to me, all of this was fairly confusing, so I spent a good long time going through the state code and through the internet to try to get in my mind, what each one represented, and I thought that would be helpful to anyone that's looking, at the school situation in West Virginia and trying to navigate it. So I hope that working, with our Board of Education, working with boards of education around the state, I've spoken with Howard O'Call at the State Board Association. I'm hopeful that we can find a path forward to get all of our traditional public schools fully funded in West Virginia to be able to keep schools in our communities, especially our rural areas. My grandfather was a one-room school teacher in Gilmer County. Both my parents were educated at Normantown, in Gilmer County. I was educated at Normantown and Gilmer County High School. My kids went through Gilmer County High School, You know, the public schools have been a huge part of our life story. And I would hate to see that go away because they don't care. You know, because they don't care what happens to us in Gilmer County. You know, we're not going to attract a charter school. We don't have enough money here. You know, we're not going to attract these things. The only way we can continue to educate our kids in our community is through taxpayer-funded traditional public schools. You know, this is what we have to have in Gilmer County, and everybody's going to have to come together, whether by voting or whether by calling their politicians. We're all going to have to come together and change this movement to giving away our tax dollars to the few instead of the many. I'm off my soapbox.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Mr. Freshour.
Nothing bad.
Ditto.
All right. And Mr. Barton.
I would ditto what everybody else has said. Like I said, with the sixth grade, I'm the person who complained about them being there. I think we took them there and then we didn't do anything with them. So, and I wanted to move back to where they came from. But then we went to the board meeting that's required, and all of a sudden we're told that if the projection's right in 10 years, we'll house
All
under
be in
one,
one place.
housed under one roof. So it makes no sense to me financially to raise Cain and move them and then move them back. So I think we need to look at, we have a 6 through 12 school. Williamstown High School is 6 through 12. Ritchie County is at least 6 through 12. It may be 5 through 12. Calhoun is in the same situation. So they're using them. I think we need to look at them and incorporate them into what we have and give them I don't know a good name to call it.
Inclusion?
That'll work, yes. And we have the ability to do a lot of middle school stuff. They're there. We just need to change our mindset and do it. That doesn't cost us anything. Everything is there. We just need to included them and make it a better place for them. And last board meeting, Mr. Chapman said something about handbooks. This is the 13th. Our next meeting is the 27th. So if we don't get them before the 27th and there's something in there we don't like, that means it's not going to get changed until the second week of August. Means they're not going to have one when school starts. So we need to have those, I think, to look at them this week. And if we have things we don't like, at least they can, the gentlemen need to be here next board meeting and say, yeah, we can get, it's on the computer, we can change it, we can do this to it. I think that needs to take place. And also, I got on my soapbox about needing a policy for our athletes competing in dual sports. I know there's kids that are wanting to play golf and, for instance, play football. Some play golf and want to run cross country. Some play volleyball and would like to run cross country and do some other things. And the way things stand right now, we do not have a policy. And I do know kids were trying to think of a nice politically correct word to say.
Coerce.
Question, we don't have a policy that says
They can.
okay.
So,
We don't have a policy that says they can't either, though.
no, but
It's just no policy.
so I just simply
A
say,
lack of, yeah. okay.
I just
was
simply
trying to
say,
get-
you make your mind up because you're not doing one or the other. And I asked that either the high school come up with one or we come up with one. And I haven't heard anything from the high school, and you all have a policy meeting Thursday. So that says to me, you got one to work on. That needs addressed, and it needs school starting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think we need to, that needs to be taken care of. And like I said, I do know that the DeHaven girl from Doddridge County is probably the best female athlete they got. She's a good scholar and she's a good athlete. I do know at the LK track meet, I wish she'd have went to the softball game when they played Gilmer, but she didn't. I'd have placed a lot higher because she said, doesn't make any difference if we win here, I can win there. And so she went. So there are different places where kids do that. But we're small. Our people have to be able to be used in different places. So
I agree.
those are my soapbox operas. So with that said, we're getting close to the beginning of the fall. She's here. So I wish everybody enjoy what time they have left and
1 month?
get ready to
One more.
start cracking in
Buckle back
class
down.
and everything else.
And just to follow up to Mr. Barton, I do believe that Dr. Minnie had a sixth grade kind of instructional delivery task force already formed, and that committee was going to come back and give us the options of what they thought would be the best instructional learning for that group. So I think a report back from that committee as well, before, while we're discussing that option as to move or not, just to see what those professionals think, or what their recommendation was out of that committee would be nice as well. Anything else under board member comments?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. We adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
I felt like you hit that gamble a little extra hard today or something. I don't know.